Hey guys, welcome back. Today we got kind of a special video for you today. It's not our normal everyday farming video. If you remember, a couple months ago I did a special on our water truck, telling you all about it and everything, and I promised that I would do one on our service truck. Well, we're finally getting around to it today. What we got right here is our service truck that we use. It's a 1997 Chevrolet 3500 truck. It does not have a diesel motor in there. It's just got the standard 350 gas V8 in there, but it does just fine. Gets this truck where it needs to go. Inside, I got a manual 5-speed transmission. Not a whole lot of electronics or other stuff. Pretty much everything manual. And there's not a whole lot of luxuries on this truck. Of course, we don't need a truck that's got a lot of luxuries. We don't need a truck that looks nice, because it basically spends pretty much all of its year going back and forth from the shop to the field, carrying around tools, fuel, grease, oil, parts or whatnot. So we don't need a beauty queen out here, but we do need something that's functional. It's got any tool we need to perform a repair in field, and that's what this truck does. So we consider this a service truck built on a budget, a small budget. To some people, it might not be a small budget, but for us, it is. I know there's probably quite a few other farms out there that have built trucks for a lot more money than what we've got in this one. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Starting out, we bought this truck about 6 years ago. As you see it, well, it had a flatbed on there. The only thing that it did come with is it already came with a fuel tank on the bed here. This fuel tank is, I believe, it's about 145 gallons. And if I had to do anything different to this truck, I would put a bigger fuel tank on it and a bigger fuel pump. For the most part, it holds all the fuel we need in the day, but when we get into either harvesting soybeans or cotton, our combine can use upwards of 100 gallons a day when it's being run hard, and the same way with our cotton picker. And then you got the other support vehicles out in the field. Occasionally we might have to come back and get a little bit of extra diesel fuel, but for the most part, a 145 gallon tank does okay for us. Well, like I said, if I had to do something different to this truck, I'd put a bigger fuel tank on there and a bigger fuel pump. We put a 13 gallon per minute fuel pump on there, which it'll fill something up. It just can be kind of slow, but usually by the time you get your equipment serviced, get it greased, check the oil, get the windows cleaned and everything, it's pretty much close to filling up with fuel. Mounted on the fuel tank here, we put our grease gun holder. All we did was weld a pipe on there to hold our grease gun. Beside it, we've got our hose reel. Got an automatic shutoff on it. Can't remember what we paid for this. I know fuel hose reels, when we were shopping around, were really expensive. We found a really good deal on this one. The fuel hose reel is a Roughneck brand. I can't remember if we got it through Northern Tool or someplace else. Underneath the bed, we've got 2 toolboxes on this side. These toolboxes did come with the bed when we bought it. Inside this toolbox, we keep our socket sets, especially our bigger socket sets. Sometimes we got blocks and jacks in here if we need them. We also got some roller chain there in the bottom in case we break a chain. This toolbox here is where we keep our grease and jumper cables and funnels and stuff. And up here on top is we got 2 toolboxes that we put on ourselves. These are toolboxes. These are toolboxes that we found from a local supply company. They had a special on them. They were pretty cheap, like I think $110 a piece. But anyway, in this first toolbox, we got all of our standard SAE wrenches. We got a full set of wrenches. For the most part, we've got 3 separate wrenches for each size. We got a ratchet wrench, a long wrench, and then a standard size wrench for pretty much each size. Got a full set of pliers and screwdrivers. Got all of our impact sockets down here. Got our stripped head sockets, Allen wrenches, all of our ratchet attachments, some vice grips, and then we got some miscellaneous stuff in the bottom, hammer, PB blaster, stuff like that. And then underneath the socket set is where we keep all of our spare bolts and everything. Some of those bolts got a little rusty. We got a little bit of water in here at some point, but usually if we have a bolt break in the field, we can scrounge together and find whatever we need in here to get us back going again. The second toolbox, this is where we keep all of our metric wrenches. Same thing as the front toolbox. We got, for the most part, 3 separate wrenches for each side. Drill bit set, multimeter, drill attachment set, metric Allen wrenches, pipe wrench, got crescent wrenches, impact wrench down at the bottom. And beneath these sockets, this is where we keep all of our electrical supplies, whatever we need to fix any electrical problems we got in the field. All right, going around here to the other side, this is the thing that we spent the most money on right here. It's not just a air compressor, it's what's called a welderator. It's an air compressor, generator, and welder all in one. Now, it's not the biggest and most powerful air compressor by a long shot, but it offers a combo package that we need to save space on the bed here. This air compressor will build around 175 psi and do almost 16 cubic feet per minute. It's got a 14 horsepower Subaru motor on there with electric start. So this has been a very valuable piece of equipment here. Now, it's not often that we need a welder in the field, but when you need one, you need one. And this thing has really saved our bacon a few times. The toolbox beneath the welderator, we got all our welding supplies, grinding supplies, C-clamps, anything we need to do any rough metalworking there in the field. All right, beside the air compressor, we got our hose reels. We got a 50-foot half-inch, we got a 50-foot 3/8-inch air hose line right here. Right beside it, we got our acetylene hose reel. And then beside the acetylene hose reel, we got our acetylene tanks. This was something I definitely wanted to find some way to put on our service truck, but due to size limitations, this is the way we come up with to maximize our space on it. Basically, we got a local machine shop to roll us 2 tubes, the right size of the tanks, cut a hole in the bed, and they hang below the bed in front of the rear tire. And then we made this strap right here that goes all the way up under and holds the bottles inside the tubes and supports the tubes to the bed. Again, a acetylene torch on a service truck, not something we use a whole lot, but again, when you need it, you need it, and it has really helped us out quite a few times. Now this cover right here, I made this myself just to keep the sun from dry rotting all of our hoses and everything. I actually had one here on the air compressor too, but the thing was so big and heavy, I got tired of having to climb up in the bed and raise it every time we needed it. So basically, this service truck does not see bad weather or rain very much. Normally when it's raining, this thing is sitting under a shed, so I just figured a cover on this really wasn't helping me that much, not as much as it is the air hose reels, because there's not really a whole lot that sunlight's going to hurt on this other than fading the paint. All right, looking here from the back, I got our storage bed. Now, it's not real big, can't really hold a whole lot back here because most of the bed is taken up by toolboxes or other equipment, but it's big enough to do what we need to. All of these rails and everything, I built them myself, including the rails up there that holds all of our gas, hydraulic oils, engine oils. Now, if we were to ever sell this truck, well, when we do sell this truck, sometime, long time down the road, everything on here can be taken off, including these rails. These rails are just held on by a clip pin and can be taken off and removing real easily. Now, moving on to the thing that I'm probably most proud on this truck, I knew I definitely wanted a vise on it, but I didn't, on all the other service trucks I've seen, I didn't really like how they were mounted. They were kind of mounted fixed. They were somewhere here on the back, either up high to where they can catch your hip whenever you're walking around, or maybe down a little bit lower to where they can catch a shin when you're walking around. I didn't want that. I kind of wanted mine tucked away, but if it's tucked away, it's really not all that useful. So we decided to mount our vise right here, and yeah, looking at it, you can't work on it right there. But we built this thing on a sliding rail. I made this rail out of, I think it's 1/2-inch thick flat steel, and then the channels at the rail run ends is 1/2-inch angle iron that we welded to the bed. And to use it, all we gotta do is pull this bolt out here, and she slides out however far you need it. So this is really useful. It tucks away to, you know, when we don't need it, but then it can be adjustable and you can work on just about anything with it. Doesn't matter how big or awkward the piece of steel is, you got plenty of clearance because it's sticking all the way out here if you need it to be. And when you're done with it, shove it back in and then drop the bolt back in. All right, the last few features that we got on this, you know, we do some running at night, and a lot of times if something's going to break down, a lot of times it's going to be at night. So we wanted some lights on this truck to really make working on stuff a lot easier. So we mounted 4 LEDs on the headache rack. And these are really useful. Like I said, if our combine breaks down at night, you know, we got plenty of light to see what we're doing. When we're at night, when we get in from the field and we're filling up the fuel tank and getting ready for the next day, you know, we got plenty of light to, you know, load the fuel up, get stuff out of the bed, put stuff in the bed, whatever we need to. And the last thing we put on there a few years ago, just because we do so much equipment moving within the city limits, you know, we just wanted to add an extra factor of safety and visibility. We put this rotating beacon on. So we, a lot of times when we're in the middle of harvest, we'll use this truck as a lead vehicle, just to kind of warn everybody that, you know, you got big equipment behind it coming down the road. So. Now onto the price tag on this truck. We bought the truck itself, the base truck with a bed. We paid $4,000 for it. So the truck's got 155,000 miles on it, not a beauty queen. So $4,000 for a good solid ton truck, not bad. Where all the money comes in is all the stuff on the bed. And total, we spent right around $10,000 to put everything on the bed. The toolboxes, air compressor, the hose reels, the acetylene torch, all the tools in the toolbox. All that stuff cost us around $10,000. Now, we did a lot of shopping at Northern Tool and Harbor Freight. We don't have a lot of what I would call high quality hand tools on here, you know, wrenches and sockets and stuff. Mainly because our tools tend to get lost before they wear out. So we don't spend a whole lot of money on tools around here. Our biggest purchase item was definitely the air compressor, or was definitely the Welderator. I think this right here was half of our budget. This right here cost us about $5,000, but again, it's been a lifesaver for us. Well, I think that about covers everything on this service truck. It's not a pretty truck, but it's very functional, and there's very few repairs that we can't do in the field. The only thing that makes this thing not ideal is that it doesn't have a bigger fuel tank on there. And then on my next service truck, my wish list is to have one that's got some kind of a boom on there, or, you know, some kind of crane. Again, that wouldn't be used very much, but man, when you did need it, it sure would be handy. So don't know if that'll ever be in the cards, but ideally I would like to have a service truck that's got some kind of boom on there for when you're working with really heavy stuff. So, you know, total we're in this truck for about $14,000 total, and it's been worth every penny of it to us. The previous service truck we had was a 1976 Chevrolet C20 truck. Probably the ugliest truck ever around. It just had a small air compressor and a small toolbox on there and a small, I think 110 gallon fuel tank. We used that thing for years and years and years, but as we got into bigger equipment, more acres, more spread out, we knew we needed to upgrade our service trucks, and this is what we came out with, so we've been real happy with it. So well, I guess that's about going to cover all of it here. I hope maybe you picked up a few things out of this video, maybe some things you can do to your service truck now or in the future. So if you found some of this stuff useful, be sure to leave us a note in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.